and breathe. Just about. I mean, that game I think took about 5 or 6 years off my life. I maybe gained some back, as I said on Twitter, for Razzmatazz behind me. That wonderful picture, the goal, the win, what the 3 points mean mentally, psychologically, the mood around Stamford Bridge being a lot different now. It's a big win. It's a performance that unfortunately once again doesn't tell us tons as or kind of what we would have wanted at the end of this game. It's more character based, kind of my assessment from this game, than anything tactical. Which I think those two things in this game mean a lot, and sometimes we care too much. I think Kai Havertz said it himself in an interview yesterday, like care too much about the stats and the data, and there are those intangible elements, and that is something that Chelsea, I think, today have done and achieved, which they haven't shown a lot under Thomas Tuchel, because Tuchel is all about control. He's all about controlling through possession. There is criticism around that, particularly in terms of taking risks. And that's where Chelsea's best performances under the German have come since Jan 2019, particularly the Champions League winning run. It's about that control. It's about that sense of precision. It's about really nullifying your opposition. But you can't think of many games where it's become chaotic and things have gone against Chelsea where under him we've really fought back and made a difference. And it was one of those concerning things thinking back to Leicester. But to see the spirit the players showed in that second half, some of the colossal defensive performances from players who we should expect from this point in this type of occasion, they rise to it. And of course, the man himself, Raheem Sterling, arriving in a big bad way that we all dreamed of, particularly that image, particularly the combination between Reece and himself, a goal. He could have had a hat-trick if it wasn't for a good Ward save, to be honest. That game, of course, as we've seen already this season, could have gone in many different directions. At half-time, let's just get to half-time straight away, because let's go back to the starting 11. So I think there were a lot of positives about the starting 11. I was happy to see Trev back in the starting lineup. There are some reports coming out of Italy now that apparently Chelsea may have changed their mind on letting Chalobah leave on loan, even though Wesley Fofana is around the corner. I mean, we'll have to see on that. We are going into deadline day, and hopefully today's performance and today's show of faith from Tuchel with the player, with the club, with the future, sees that Chalobah can stay at Chelsea, because I think he will get minutes, and I just think he increases the level of what we have in that area of the pitch, even with Fofana coming in, which of course is a big move and obviously loomed over this game between both clubs. Gallagher remaining, I was a little bit surprised of that, but it did look to me like a 4-3-3, a 4-4-2 as it started. We were taking risks and we were always kind of vulnerable to a counter-attack, and you saw that at multiple occasions during that first half. Again, no, it comes back to individual errors. There was a lot about that first half where the kind of experiment that Tuchel was going for kind of got halted because of an individual mistake, or kind of two individual mistakes. I mean, Marc Cucurella, a really sloppy volley in the air from a corner back to, I think he was trying to go back to Conor Gallagher, who then panics on a yellow. You could argue his first booking was a little bit harsh, but his decision-making for the second was really poor. And as Thomas Tuchel, despite our criticisms of maybe hit some of his approach and decision-making, of who should be in, who should be out, all of that stuff, you can't legislate for decisions like that. And it looked to me like Conor today was a young player who had taken a setback, a blow last weekend, and wanted to make up for it. And he's a very energetic player. He gets about, but that judgment there, and unfortunately it is a recurring pattern amongst Chelsea players recently of individual mistakes. Kalidou Koulibaly getting a second yellow today. I don't think that Gallagher has to make that challenge on Harvey Barnes. I really don't. I think Chalobah was running back. We had a few players, he was kind of taking him away from goal. Listen, it could have led to a Leicester goal, but it gave a difficult challenge to Chelsea from that point on. And it's a massive blow for Gallagher. I'm sure mentally he's going to have to recover from it, but the team recovered from it, and I think that's a great sign when they did not recover from a massive setback last week when Edouard Mendy made that mistake. So improvement on that front. It very much became a simple game of Chelsea going back to the basics under Thomas Tuchel, sitting behind the ball in that shape that we've become so accustomed to, really limiting the spaces between defenders and between that shape that with apart from lacking one man, that won Chelsea the Champions League. Chelsea got lucky today. There's no kind of two ways about it. Raheem Sterling's first goal, it takes a massive deflection. It loops over the keeper. You've got also the fact that Leicester had so many chances. They hit the bar. Jamie Vardy took it round the goalkeeper and hit the side netting. There were many occasions when, on another day, Leicester would have got a point from this, and maybe that's down to their own failings, their own lack of confidence. I don't know what it is. I mean, a peak Jamie Vardy probably scores a hat-trick in this game, and he missed a few in the first half as well. Many did make some brilliant saves as well, but Chelsea, it was always going to be that case where if we're going to win this game, you're going to have to commit men forward, and then you're going to hope we hang out. Raheem Sterling first is just a moment of inspiration, him picking up the ball. I felt that Marc Cucurella, again today, despite his costly mistake in the first half, I think made up for it. And we're seeing this with Cucurella. I really like his weight of pass. I really like his judgment of knowing when to release the ball, to switch to play, particularly in that second half when there was a little bit more space to exploit on the break. I think he really showed again today what he offers a little bit different. I think he offers a different kind of wing-back option to Thomas Tuchel, or full-back option to Thomas Tuchel. And it seems like already him and Sterling are kind of forming a good sort of chemistry there. And Sterling could have had a goal from a Cucurella assist just after the first one. But the first one, of course, takes a deflection, but it gets Sterling off the mark. And you saw the explosion of emotion from Raheem Sterling. He was so passionate about that goal, and rightly so, because it's a big moment in his Chelsea career, and particularly because there's been so much scrutiny over the attackers. And the second goal itself was brilliant because it involved more players. It wasn't down to luck, and it was the sort of goal you want to see a lot of. And it's exactly why you want to buy Raheem Sterling. Him scoring a goal that you could very easily see being scored at the Etihad, even as far back as Anfield, being scored for England. That sort of anticipation inside the box, a tap-in. People have moaned at Sterling, tried to lament Sterling for years and try and demean his accomplishments. But there's a reason he has so many goals. There's a reason why good players like him, good attackers like him, always score goals, because they know where to be. And particularly having Reece further up the pitch, it was just those nice rotations out wide that Chelsea under Tuchel have kind of always done well. You need those to kind of create space and get Reece into those dangerous positions. It was just brilliant. It was an all-round lovely goal. It was a moment. It's the best attacking moment of the season from Chelsea so far, in my opinion. Not just because it's a goal. I think it was so crisp, it was so precise, and it got Chelsea into a high-quality position, which Raheem Sterling obviously took. Such a shame to lose a goal so quickly, because then it makes the last 25 minutes very, very tense. And as I say, a lot of that's down to luck, but a lot of that as well is Thiago Silva, Cesar Azpilicueta, who I've been critical of, but he came on today and put in a wonderful performance past his 10-year anniversary at Chelsea. Silva, just looking at the stats, won the most tackles and lost just one single duel against Leicester. It really was a big display. I felt that Ruben was another player I do want to mention. I think that he, again, I want to see him do better in the final third. I think he's still lacking that. He had a chance in the first half that was a good save, but I think needs to be more clinical. If he's going to keep on getting opportunities and he puts himself in dangerous positions inside the box, I think he needs to have better judgment. I think he needs to be a bit more selfish when he gets inside the box. To me, it still looks like he's a little bit tentative when maybe, as we see with Raheem or Reece James, particularly out wide, when he gets into that position, as we saw in the first half, he will take a shot very instantly because he backs himself. I think maybe Ruben needs to take that a little bit more. But I felt that overall, when Chelsea needed energy, they needed mobility, they needed needed real grit in the centre of the park, and needed someone as well at times to take the pressure off. I think Ruben, again, a really, really encouraging display for his Chelsea future. Early on in the season, when Tuchel is dealing with suspension, he's dealing with injuries, particularly in that central midfield area where things are so uncertain, obviously. But yeah, I as I say, there was so much drama in this game, and there was so much that we'll look back on and go, it could have gone this way, it could have gone the other. I mean, maybe it is kind of that phrase I'm not a massive fan of, but some go for you, some against you. I mean, you can look back to the Spurs game. There are things that went against us, individual errors from Edouard Mendy last week and Koulibaly, and just, if those go a different way, if a fractional offside, I mean, look at the first half, for instance, a fractional offside decision with Kai Havertz that, to me, based on VAR's own interpretation of offsides, particularly the Marcus Rashford goal against Liverpool, I think once again serious questions being asked, because I don't see the difference. I think Kai was onside based on their own kind of logic, but we see this so often. It's inconsistent. But Chelsea got through all of that. It could have been a self-fulfilling prophecy. I think like a lot of us, we would have been sat there at half-time, doom and gloom. Where is a goal going to come from? Because we don't look like we're going to score. We've got a man down. We're coming off the back of a really bad defeat. It felt like things were kind of not conspiring against us, but individual mistakes again were going to really drag down this performance. And if we lost today, even if we had conceded a second late on there, psychologically I think it would have been really damaging, and Tuchel needs to improve his home form. So to get the win on the board, listen, it's not convincing, but my hope is that the mood in the camp, kind of the confidence of getting through that, Sterling getting on the board, we can, talk about performances and moments and kind of technical, tactical things that still sort of worry us over the long term. But I think we just have to really enjoy this, because that was a really emotional win that hopefully hasn't taken too much out of the players ahead of Southampton. I do want to see some changes. I'd like to see Armando Broja given a start. Hopefully, of course, going to have Kalidou Koulibaly back. But, Trevor Chalobah, Cesar Azpilicueta putting in performances that should make Thomas Tuchel think about giving him an opportunity, and what is that system going to look like against Southampton on Tuesday. Let me know your opinions. I'm going to go... My man of the match is difficult because I think you have to give it to a defender because they had to do so much work, particularly Thiago Silva, the Benjamin Button of football, as Thomas Tuchel said, still is monstrous back there. He really is, and he's just such a legend of the game. I felt Trev, considering all his reported frustration in the recent weeks, I think came in and acquitted himself very well. Ruben too. I'm going to be a little bit biased and say I would lean towards Sterling, because I want to see our attackers do well, and I think him scoring winning goals for Chelsea today is a massive sign, and very much tips the balance over the way we're feeling about this attack. But we need to see it in the long term. So let me know your opinions. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button. We are moving into the final week of this long summer transfer window, where hopefully Wesley Fofana, I'm sure celebrating somewhere that winner from home or somewhere wherever he is, to annoy Leicester fans, will be confirmed, and maybe some other signings in this very busy summer transfer window. Thank you guys. Enjoy your evening, and I will see you again very soon. All the best.